What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the lunchroom. I'm your host, Chris, and let's give a nice round of applause to me. Nice round of applause for me because the NFL wild card has concluded. And if you guys watched last week's video, I got every single game right on the money. Every single one. I got every game right, all 6 of them. And I was able to cash for like $60.
Tell them to bring me my money. Yeah!
But $60 more than I had just last week. Wild card's done. I got paid. Some crazy stuff happened. This was one of the most entertaining starts to a playoffs I have probably ever seen. The first 4 games of the wild card were all bangers. The only game that I actually didn't really watch was Rams-Panthers. Because I'm not going to lie. You see, I predicted a blowout in this game. So I just had it on in the background while I took a nap. And, the Panthers, they showed up to play. Honestly, I'll say this. I'll give credit where credit is due. Carolina, they was hooping. They was hooping for real. Bryce Young played a phenomenal game. They really brought it to the Rams. Again, it was very last second. If you saw my reactions the night of Saturday, yeah, it was pretty insane. The Bears managed a 18-point comeback against the Packers at home. Some terrible coaching decisions in that second half. A lot of coaches have already lost their jobs, and I wouldn't be surprised if some more have. Mike Tomlin is no longer the coach of the Steelers after the disaster class last night. He didn't get fired, though. Brother chose to resign. And you know what? I can respect that. Because you know what? Me resigning sounds better than I got fired because of my incompetence. But, it's fine. Not as fine as Justin Herbert is after the absolute beating that he took against the Patriots. And I said this. You could rewind the footage. Team has no offensive line. I said it. The Chargers have no offensive line. That man was getting hit brutal. If you watch the game, Drake May took just as many sacks. Almost just as many sacks as Justin Herbert did. But man, Herbert was pressured. He had no time to relax in that pocket. He got pressured over 38 times. He got sacked about 6. And some of those were some brutal hits, man. Oh my goodness. See, the reason why, I don't really play play football at this level, but yeah, he took some hits in that game. He took some brutal hits. You know what? It's at some point it was just sad to watch. To everybody who may have doubted my picking the Niners over the Eagles, I told y'all so. I told y'all, motherfucker. I said it. I spoke that shit into existence. I said the Eagles are not good. And you want to know why they're not good? That offense is terrible. The play call is terrible. They got rid of their OC already. The offensive coordinator is gone. A.J. Brown is probably gone. And he played a stinker. He was dropping some big passes of the ones that Jalen Hurts was even able to make. And oh my God, I think some people, that watch professional sports don't realize how important coaching is. It's just, some people might think that coaching is just put the best players out there. Build a good team, put the best players out there and just let them play. No, coaching is very important. And some of the plays that were being made over this entire weekend, but especially in this game, are the reasons why. Why on 4th down with your season on the line, you gotta get it first. You gotta stay in this. You gotta get into the end zone. Are we running 4 verticals?
There's no strategy. I have no strategy.
That's ridiculous. Am I wrong? Especially when the passing game hasn't really, been that great the entire way. The Bills managed to survive a really close game against the Jags. That was one that was very winnable until the Trevor Lawrence interception at the end. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. The wild card is over with. We have 8 teams moving on into the divisional round. 4 games this weekend. And, Let's talk about these. And if some of y'all want to put some money on these games, based on my predictions, feel free to. But I will just say I am not responsible if the players decide to not show up for these games. But yeah. All right, let's go over these Saturday games first. We got the 2-1 seeds who had a bye in the first round playing Bills, Broncos, Seahawks, Niners. We're going to go over Bills, Broncos first. Now, to all of my Bills fans out there, y'all going to be very happy to hear that I'm picking the Bills in this game. It is clear cut. We're picking Buffalo to move on. I have said for weeks that the freaking Broncos are frauds. They are a fraudulent 1 seed. This is a team that I have watched go head-to-head, very tight, close games with some really, really, really shitty teams. Why did I have to sit through a Monday night watching this team almost lose to the freaking Raiders? This is a team, if you watched the Texans game last night, on Monday, and you saw exactly how much a defense can carry a team to victory. That is what the Broncos have done all season. That's really what they've done. The offense, for the Texans looked terrible. We'll get to that, but I really genuinely believe that, this team was carried by its defense all season. You're going up against, a team that, looked vulnerable. They put up a really good fight against a really good overall team in the Jags. Honestly, Jags might have won that game had it not been for the interception on that last drive. But is what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna take and trust in the superstar powers and experience of Josh Allen and the Bills to beat this Broncos team. We saw this matchup last year. The Bills played the Broncos, this same Broncos team last year in the wild card and beat them. I think they'll beat them again. They have the urgency. They have the people are saying the AFC's wide open. I think they're going to come to play on the road again, though, in Denver, which, Denver's not an easy place to play, especially this time of year. But I'm going to take the Bills on the road to upset the Broncos because they're frauds. For the second game of the divisional round, so we got Seahawks-Niners. Now, we actually saw this game 2-3 weeks ago. This was a Week 18 matchup for the division. And the Seahawks did win. Now, granted, this is this Niners team, now they've been through a playoff game. They got their juices going, they're feeling themselves. We just beat the Eagles, even though they kind of suck. This Niners team is really banged up. For those of y'all that didn't watch, they lost George Kittle during this game in the second quarter to an Achilles injury. So they're already super banged up. They have a lot of injuries, especially in their secondary. Their defense is pretty banged up. Their offense, they've collected all of the souls of all the injured players into Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy. They got all the stat points from them. It's they sacrifice players. It's like sacrificing players like an RPG so that the rest of the team could be stacked. But this Seahawks team has a very, very good defense, and their offense leaves some to be desired. But when you have one of the, if not the best receiver in the NFL this year in JSN, what are you gonna do? I think it's gonna be very hard for I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for the Niners to put up points against this defense. And honestly, it's going to be a little difficult for them to stop this Seahawks team on offense. Stop their run game. They have they love to run the football. They have 2 running backs that, have been pretty solid for this year. They have one of the best receivers in the NFL. I mean, again, we saw this matchup in Week 18. Give me Seattle at home to beat San Francisco. I think Sam Darnold's definitely going to redeem himself from how he exited the season last year in Minnesota. But yeah, give me the Seahawks to advance to the NFC Championship. Now for the Sunday games, these are a little more interesting. We're gonna start in the AFC. Texans go to New England to take on the Patriots. And listen, that Patriots team they looked rough. That if you watch the Chargers game, they did not. No one scored a touchdown until like the third quarter. Not a touchdown. There was one touchdown scored in that game by Hunter Henry, but man, you really saw the weaknesses in this Patriots team in that game against LA, and they were good enough to beat the Chargers. They were good enough to. I don't think they can get away with some of the stuff that they did against LA with Houston. If you watch the Steelers-Texans game, the defense really carried them to victory. CJ Stroud had 3 turnovers, 3 really bad turnovers. He fumbled the ball twice and then threw an interception. The defense also scored 2 touchdowns of their own in that game. Every single one of CJ Stroud's turnovers, the Steelers, when they got the ball back, did absolutely nothing. Most of those were 3. Even when they got it back in the red zone, absolutely nothing done with them. Like, they couldn't get anything going with any of their opportunities that were gifted to them by the Texans offense. And I don't think they'll play a game that bad again offensively. And with the way that their defense is playing and the way that their defense is rolling and how dominant they've been and the pressure that we saw, Drake May and those Patriots under, and how they played in their first playoff game, man, I see a very, very difficult game incoming for the Patriots. I think it's very capable. They're very capable of winning this game, but I would, if me as a betting man, I think I'm more confident taking a team that I know can really put the pressure on them and, really take advantage of those mistakes on the offensive end. I'm going to take the Texans to win and make the AFC Championship game to go up against the Buffalo Bills. For the last game of the divisional round, we have Rams-Bears. This game's going to be in Chicago. We got 2 teams that, we got one team that's definitely coming off of a red-hot performance, in their home stadium, massive comeback, and I think they're going to lose. Now, granted, this is probably the game that I am the most nervous about because I think it is entirely possible for the Rams to choke this away. Now, we cannot just take them having a close game with the Panthers as like this team is terrible. They can't do anything. Like, they played a close. Listen, Panthers played them good. They played them close. That's all the credit to the Panthers, and that's not taking away anything away from the Rams. Now, it is scary that the Rams defense gave up 31 points to Carolina, but the thing is that they still have a pretty solid defense. Their offense is also one of the best teams. I've said this all season for you guys that have watched the podcast throughout. This Rams team is one of the most well-rounded rosters in the entirety of the NFL. And it's really difficult to me, especially with how aggressively the Bears were playing against the Packers. And trust me, it wasn't just yes, a lot of it was the play calling and the coaching and stuff and, the locking in from the Bears. But a lot of it was also mistakes that the Packers coaching staff made with clock management, with, play calling. Why are we running plays for Josh Jacobs to run up the middle when he's getting snuffed every time? Josh Jacobs hasn't been great for the past month and a half.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy.
But I think LA, the thing is LA doesn't have a lot of the same issues as Green Bay does in that department. LA has also one of the best coaching staffs in the entire league. I do think this LA team is going to be able to win this game on the road again. It's going to be a tough matchup. This Bears team is very gritty. These guys do not ever say die. So I expect this to be a fun affair. But I'm going to take the Rams in order to move on to face the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. So yeah, that's my predictions for the NFL Divisional Round. That's going to do it for me today. If you guys, again, want to make some money, take the teams I'm taking. I know I'll be putting bread on it, so I'm putting my money where my mouth is. If you enjoyed the pod, make sure like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. You know, if your grandpa likes sports, I don't know, maybe he'll like it. But like, yeah, you know, it definitely helps show the love, support for me, what I'm doing here. So yeah, until next time, peace.